What's up, guys? How's it going? Welcome to Cinespection. This is the show where we'll spend the next 2 hours talking about how Hollywood is watching the show and they just greenlit a new movie with the Rocketeer. So, discuss, guys. Joining us today, of course, is John, my co-host. What's up, John?
What's going on, everybody? Excited to talk about some amazing movies this week.
So not the Rocketeer sequel. And today we're joined also by our friend Dives, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter, who is all around here at the Painted Lines, and we're happy to have him here because we're going to talk about some great stuff today. What's up, Dives?
Dude, thank you for letting me join. Tons of fun tonight. Two movies that I just adore, and then a show that I have just recently caught up on, and I can't wait to geek out with you guys. So
awesome. Well, let's do this then. We will start with Candyman. So Candyman is a movie that just got remade that you might have seen that's in theaters right now. But we won't review that one. that's just not what we do here. Next week will be the Hypocrites and probably review Shang-Chi, but whatever. In this case, we'll review the original film, the 1992 horror classic, right? One of the best horror movies in the 90s, Candyman. And for those who don't know Candyman, I think it's good. It's one of those movies that it's good if you go in like blind. You don't know what it's going to be about. Besides it being like Dives, you knew it was probably a slasher-ish kind of thing, but I didn't know much beyond that. So it's a good one. But here we'll get to some specific plot points. But let's try to keep it spoiler-free until we say it. We're gonna go to spoilers. John, I'm talking to you there.
Yeah, I know.
So Dives, you just watched it like 2 hours ago, right? So what'd you think?
So I'm embarrassed to announce that I have never seen Candyman, and even with the new one coming out, I'm a huge horror fan, and all I knew about Candyman was Tony Todd. Like, he was the really cool guy from Final Destination, the spooky guy, that janitor I think he was, with the awesome voice. So I finally got to see it. Today. My daughter's daycare was closed today, which was annoying, so I had to work from home. And during her nap, I watched it, and sure enough, I was glued to my seat the entire time. I don't want to spoil it, but I will say it is beautifully made, featuring a truly sympathetic villain, and it was top to bottom just a blast to watch. It was awesome. And I was like kind of geeking out with John and behind the scenes on Discord. I was like, this is great. This is a great film. And I will 100% echo exactly what you just said, Gabe. One of the best horror movies of the 90s. It has to be. It was that well done. It was like, it throws you into this like dream-like, nightmarish kind of like scenario where you don't know truly what's going on. It wasn't like scary, but it did such a good job of giving you great characters that you truly rooted for and cared for, and amazing performances by Virginia Madsen and Tony Todd. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to say on that, we were together. I'd never seen it before. I saw it like, I don't know, Thursday or something last week. I was expecting to watch the new one, which I didn't. So you're not alone. John watched it last night or this morning. So
cool.
Yeah, so we're all equally bad at this. John, I mean, I think you liked it too, but to you it was pretty scary, right?
Well, like, it wasn't like scary in a 90s slasher way. So like going into this, not knowing the movie or anything, you just kind of expect it to be a typical 90s slasher, and then you really get into it and it's like, no, this is kind of just disturbing. Like, yeah. And that's like the way that I like to describe it. It's like I wouldn't call it scary, but it's disturbing. Like you're sitting there and like it's not like Friday the 13th or anything like that. It's very different than that. And I actually think that's the biggest win for this movie, or what makes it so great, is that they didn't. There are slasher scenes, don't get me wrong, but they didn't rely on slasher scenes to make the movie, right?
Well, also if he's a slasher, he's like an all-powerful slasher. Because like usually the trope in a slasher movie, usually, because some guys will correct me, but it's like a guy with a knife or a machete or an axe or whatever chasing you, and then you close the door, or they trip, or like ultimately the trope of the final girl is because the final woman that has been killed outsmarts the villain, and that's why she's the final one, and she's the one that defeats the person. Here, what would be the final girl is basically the main character, Helen, but she is unable to outsmart him because she closes the door on him. He appears in the other door. She goes to another room. He's there behind her. Like so it's not really a slasher movie. I think people talk about it that way, and probably the sequels, which we have not seen, go into that territory a bit more. But it's definitely not this slasher. It's not a Jason or kind of thing.
I would put it more like on a psychological thriller type spectrum than a slasher film. And I think that's where maybe this gets a little misclassified, because everybody immediately goes to horror. And while it is a horror movie, like there are sub-classifications, and this is definitely one of those.
Yeah. And then Lo's talking about the first jump scare. That's a good one. Yeah, it has many of those. I feel like, again, if you go in blind, if you didn't know like anything, like what is Candyman, what happens if you say his name 5 times, like if you didn't know anything at all, I feel like it would be even more effective, right? It's one of those movies that you're like, I wish I didn't know anything going in, just so I can enjoy the full extent of it, right? Sorry, Types, go ahead.
Yeah, what I just want to piggyback off of Tony Todd. Like what I loved about Candyman was like how in depth this character was. Like this was a time of what Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers. Like you're giving there's a racial commentary to this villain, to this film, that they don't really go too in depth with, but it is there. It is definitely there. That I love how they made Candyman and fleshed out this character. He's he's the son of a slave. He's this artist, and he gets tragically murdered because he fell in love. Like not many movies at this time, especially slasher movies, develop the villain like this. And
I was going to
a ton of credit.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that they really they sussed out a character that like Freddy Krueger, he lived in a house down the street and the parents didn't like him or something, burned down the house, and that's why he's burned. And those characters, they have one line, kind of it's a very simple setup for why they're evil, right? But in this, I mean, I wouldn't even, I guess he's evil, but they have the entire, I don't know, first 30 minutes or so, maybe more, setting up his backstory of why the Candyman is the way he is, and that the whole urban myth behind it and everything. I kind of paused it at that point to note it. So it's far into the movie.
Yeah, and that's something I wanted to get into. It's not something John, you and I usually try to avoid in this show, the social potentially conflictive things about these movies. But I think that this movie does a great job of giving you a social message, not only on the fact that he was the son of a slave, and it seems, I don't know if they say it expressly, but it seems to imply that he was killed because he was black and fell in love with a white woman. There's the whole gentrification thing about Helen's building being identical to forgot the name of the building, but the building where most of the movie takes place. It's got a name, something green. Anyway, so they go into that and how gentrification, those kinds of things, but it never. What I like about these older movies and why I keep telling John let's watch something that's older, is that they don't hit you in the head with it. They just it's there and it's something for you to think about. It's hey, why are these buildings identical and one's cheap and the other one's expensive, right? And why was this man killed? And what are the implications of this man showing up? It just leaves you a lot to think. And something that's happened with Cabrini Green is the name. Thanks,
Lo.
So, and something that I had in the notes, and I don't want to get too deep into it, but some people are complaining that the new one, which we have not seen, none of us, so we can't talk about it.
No.
It's too political. It goes too much into race and gentrification and those things.
Okay.
Like, they have not seen the original if they think that these are new themes to this franchise, right? Because that is what it's all about. But at the same time, I have not seen the new one, but it feels like modern filmmaking really wants to show you, like, put into your face, like, this is the social message, and these older movies didn't, right? I think this movie did a great job at that.
I agree.
Yeah. This movie did do a really good job of getting its message up. Somehow, like, this really deep social message came out in a 1992 horror movie that, like, has some pretty gruesome scenes in it. And that's a very interesting introspective into the movie, though, right?
Yeah, I didn't know if I was watching like a horror movie or an art house film. Like by the time the credits hit, like that's how like kind of like struck in the head I was from this movie. There's some really like amazing subtlety and visuals in this film. Like I thought the camera work was really good. Like I said, the dream kind of like quality of some scenes really kind of made me feel uneasy watching them. I love that visual where like Virginia Madsen's like walking through the wall through the mouth of Candyman. That was really cool. And then the scene where like Virginia Madsen's like reviewing the photos and then sees Candyman behind her. There's some like kind of cool moments. It's not scary. I like the word you used, John, that it's disturbing. But quick nod to also Philip Glass, who composed the score for this one. I thought it was really strong. It definitely made kind of the more disturbing psychological moments that much more effective. I was top to bottom a really well done film.
Yeah, and I think some of to your point, I think some of the best horror, not just horror, but like genre movies, even like but horror specifically, like many of the most interesting horror movies have some sort of, again, hidden, not on your face, social message, right? Some are more overt, like probably Get Out, right? But some other movies, say zombie movies, have something to do with panic of diseases, right? Or I don't know if you guys have seen It Follows, but It Follows, it's like STDs kind of thing.
Great film,
right? Great film. If you haven't seen it, go see it. So yeah, many like horror plays a lot with those sort of paranoias, and this movie just takes it to a different level. That not only is it really well done, but it wasn't. I think it was John that said it wasn't that common for its time. So we talked about Tony Todd, and Dibes, you said I think he's fantastic. This is what people know him from mostly, right? I think he made the sequels. I think he's in the new one. But I want to get into Virginia Madsen as well, because she's also really good in the movie. She's in most of the scenes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So good. So I mean, she carried the film. Her acting was top notch. I didn't know she was in this movie. I remember her. The first movie I think of with Virginia Madsen is The Truman Show. For me personally, but she like carried it. She was this female character. You think of this movie like as a whole, like. Pretty much every male character in this movie was some sort of douchebag, male chauvinist, like asshole, like, and she's this female character like that doesn't care, stands up for herself, she's put in these nightmarish situations, and she like does it for herself. Like she's a great character.
Yeah, she's good, and she has a big responsibility because most of the scenes in the movie just are about her. Like everything's about her. Candyman is not in it that much, right? He's not.
He's barely in the movie. I mean,
yeah,
like maybe 10 minutes out of the hour and a half runtime at most. Like,
right. And also a big thing. I mean, I didn't have it in the notes, but now I'm remembering, like the fact that they both fill their faces, and Tony Todd even the inside of his mouth with bees.
Crazy.
I read that.
So I was
Tony
gonna.
Todd, go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna say that whole scene to me was like Twin Peaks-esque, and I was like, "This is fucking weird," to be honest.
Right. I mean, I read that Tony Todd negotiated that he would get paid $1,000 for every.
I read that for every
for
bee
every
sting.
bee sting, and he got 23.
And but there's another piece to that. He like donated the money or something like that. It turns out. Anyway, I saw that stat too. It was really
Crazy.
interesting.
Yeah,
I
I
also
mean,
saw
look,
that Virginia Madsen had to be hypnotized to do some of these scenes with the bees and stuff.
Wow.
yeah, I mean the best scene in the movie is probably the scene in the parking lot, right, where he's just like walking to her. He's like,
Sure.
"Be my victim, be my victim." Like that's so great, and it involves the two of them giving their best. We talked on the music as well and the controversy. I think the only last point to say here, like, do we recommend this movie? And we can't say if we recommend it in the context of the new one because again we haven't seen it. I'm sure it's great. It's got some great cast, great director, but we haven't seen it, so we don't know. But as a horror movie, we're close to Halloween. What, a couple months? Dives, would you recommend watching this one?
2 thumbs up. I mean, I'm talking like this was probably a solid 9 out of 10 for me, which is high. I'm pretty consistent with my movie scores. It was really good. Like for a 90s movie, like when you go back and watch older films, like they're kind of slow moving. They don't tend to like keep your attention. This one 100% kept my attention every single scene. I wanted to know what was going to happen with Virginia Madsen's character, and the ending pulled no punches. It was terrific. But most importantly, it's a movie that like made me think throughout the film and after the film. So top to bottom, it was really, really good. I actually asked my wife if she saw it, and she said no. So I'm literally telling you, I'm going to go watch that again with Nicole, and that's how good it was. I'm excited to watch it again.
Do you think, I mean, I just thought of this while you're talking. Do you think it's a solid watch for a 15, 16-year-old
No.
person scared? No, right?
No.
This movie, I mean, like, I remember growing up knowing the whole Candyman thing because of this movie and, like, my age. But, never really watching it, or if I did, I ran away from it. So, like, I would highly recommend it. I would say go watch it on Peacock or whatever streaming service you use. I think it's on most of them. I kind of want to go see the new one just because of how much I liked this one. And then I kind of don't want to go see the new one because of how much I kind of liked this one.
It feels like the new one from the trailers. We talked about this in the chat, the Geekly Goods chat, but it feels like from the trailer, which seems to spoil the whole movie, that it's almost a remake of this one. It seems like it is. Again, we haven't seen it, but it looks like it is. So, that's what they do. It's the J.J. Abrams formula, which worked really well for The Force Awakens, which is remaking and expanding. But it doesn't work everywhere, I think.
What's really refreshing about this movie too is that it's a horror slasher movie that takes place in a city. Like, when's the last time you saw a horror movie in a city?
It's usually some like perfect suburban town or some camp or
like the Chicago background, like the grime of like the environment, like it really boded. I don't know. Did well with kind of creating that like not Seven-esque, but like that like mucky vibe that like it's dirty, like everything is disgusting. It just did well for many of like the close quarters scenes. So that worked for me. A slasher movie taking place in a city where it's just as bad to live in, let alone like without a movie monster chasing you around. So
yeah, no, agreed. And they do a great job not just establishing the city, but the building Cabrini Green is like an actual character almost.
Yeah,
right. Like it's its own personality.
It is. It has its own mouth and like every like
right.
The whole
graffiti
thing to it,
everywhere.
Yeah.
The people there are just part of this community, and they are like the people in the bathroom that show up in front of her in the bathroom, like all those things, like kind of like build on that. So we got to move on because it's almost 20 minutes. All right, fasten your seatbelts because now we're going to be talking about early 2000s movie around the same time as one of our favorites, Swordfish, right? So this is the Italian Job, and John, I think you can take this one.
Yeah, so I the other night was texting Gabe, and I was like, "What should we do this week?" Or no, he was actually texting me. He's like, "We have to figure out what we're gonna watch," and I'm like, "Okay."
Well, just let me stop you real quick. Lo says if you want to review the second one, I think we might get there eventually. I on my part, I was kind of like, with Delta kind of like rising.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
no, we'll try to review it if I think it might be in digital in like 21 days, so we might just watch it then. Sorry.
No,
Go ahead.
you're good. So he was telling me that I needed to figure out what we're gonna watch this week. So I came up with something that we were just like popped into a queue, which was The Italian Job. And then when I was talking to Dubs earlier, and I was like, "We're gonna review The Italian Job," he's like, "I'm in." So like, I mean, where can we start with this? The movie
a bit of a
is
context. The movie it stars.
Yeah. I mean, like it's a bootleg Ocean's 11, to be honest.
No, it is not a bootleg Ocean's. How dare you?
Yes, it is. It is
No,
totally.
it isn't. Just because it's a heist movie.
It's a heist movie, and they picked like all of the biggest names at the time to go into it.
Well,
okay,
but it must have come out the same year or around the same year, right? Well, let's
Somewhere-
look it up. But I mean,
somewhere
it's
in
got to
there.
be around the same.
Anyway, so it's a heist movie with a bunch of huge name actors in it.
Yeah.
I mean, Edward Norton, I think recently like had won an Academy Award at that point or something, right?
Mhm.
So
Edward Norton and Charlize Theron probably won
Yeah.
the year after, or the
I
year
mean,
before.
anyway, so you have an all-star cast minus Seth Green, who somehow works his way into this movie as
So good.
that.
Well, back then he was still like Scotty,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
the
that's true.
side.
Yeah,
Like,
you
he
ever
was-
watch Rat Race? Rat Race is great.
It's so good. It's such a good movie. It's such a good movie. Is he in it?
He is. He's great in it.
God,
So
anyway, John, you gotta watch
the
that one,
premise,
'cause that's
the premise of the
really
movie
good.
is it starts, and I'm not going to spoil anything, even though it's old. But the movie starts, and they're stealing gold, and it is the old man's last job, and it's the new young buck's job to take over. And things go awry.
You talk about. I feel like you're talking down to this movie. How dare you?
No, because I love it, but it's not like when you watch it again, it's not like the best movie of all time. Let's be like super honest with
It's
ourselves. It is a popcorn
Lo.
flick.
Lo is coming after you. What's up with the Seth Green slander? He's right. Like he's right. Okay, look.
He's so
you
annoying
need
in
to
this
stop
movie.
this.
No,
He's not. He's great. What are you
Oh my
talking
god,
about?
he's one of the
great.
best characters.
No,
Okay.
like when he's talking about how he created Napster and all of this.
This is one of the best heist movies ever made.
Wow, that
Like-
is giving it a lot of.
I don't care. I mean, it's not supposed to be Oscar worthy, even though many of the
Yeah.
actors went on to be nominated or were nominated by then. It doesn't matter. It as a functional like heist movie, it's really clever.
Yeah, it is
It
very
has
clever.
like numerous scenes of people sitting down and planning a heist, right?
well, and like
um,
you kind of,
yeah,
I noticed
Look
this
at
when we
look at
watched.
this, John. Like first Kurt Russell and now Seth Green. I know,
Oh.
I know. Lo,
So,
I know what we're gonna do.
I know that we've all talked about this on our podcast before, but like Fast and Furious had a heist movie, right? Fast 5,
Yeah.
which we all came to the agreement that that's probably the best one. But did you notice the parallels that like came from this movie that they used in Fast
Tons.
5?
Tons.
Tons.
Mhm.
So like this movie actually set the precedent for another loved movie like down the road. It, like you said, it's not an Oscar movie, but it is a good popcorn flick. It's a fun movie to just like sit, turn your brain off, and watch.
But you don't need to turn your brain off. I feel like it's not Transformers or
No,
it's
it's
pretty
not.
clever. Like it's really well put together. Really good direction, great screenplay. Like it comes together. Like it's never like it doesn't have the stretch or the plot hole. Like you're like
Yeah. No, it doesn't have any real plot holes or anything. I mean, the Mini Coopers are fun, right?
Yeah, so I saw this movie in high school, and I vividly remember those Mini Coupes like everywhere. Like
Yep.
once this movie came out, I saw them everywhere where I live. So that was how popular this was. But just kind of like my quick thoughts, like you talked about Fast and Furious. Like this movie is not the greatest movie of all time. It is one of the best heist movies of all time. But when I think of the Italian Job, I think of characters. And some of the best Fast and Furious movies, when it's at its peak, give us some of the best characters. I love watching these characters kind of just like throw jabs at each other. They're having a great time. That's what was like so memorable for me. It wasn't the action scenes. We watched the trailer before we went live. Like it gives like this serious tone. It's not serious. It's got so much rewatchability. The Italian Job, it just oozes out of its veins. So the characters, the rewatchability, that's what made the Fast and Furious movies so successful. You talk about the Mini Coupes. I go back to the original Fast and Furious when they had the little car drive under the truck. You talk about Hobbs and Shaw. Jason Statham actually gave a nod to the Italian Job in Hobbs and Shaw, which I absolutely adored. They went to his garage, I think in Moscow or something like that, and they were like, "Look at this car." And Jason Statham looked at it. It was a Mini Coupe. He's like, "Oh, that was from an old job in Italy. I don't drive it that much anymore."
That's true. That's true.
To the Italian Job. So like it's very self-aware, just like the Fast and Furious movies. Just the Italian Job was way ahead of its time.
That scene was awesome, Lo. I have to admit, like that's one of the funniest scenes in the movie.
That was a good one, yeah. And then Lo saying most Def has a problem with dogs. That is a good one. And they asked him what happened. He's like, I had a bad experience. Like, what else do you need? Yeah. And to Dives' point about the characters, to me, that's probably the strongest part of this movie, because these are all people you'd love to hang out with. Like I'd love to hang out with Jason Statham in this movie, and Mos Def and Seth Green, even though John doesn't like him. And like everybody's just like a cool, like Mark Wahlberg just plays like a cool guy that everybody would like to be like him. Like he's just awesome. He dresses well. Just a cool guy. Yeah.
It's funny when you think about like Fast and Furious and like where the franchise can go from here. You know, you have Cypher in Fast and Furious, who is also in the Italian Job. Bring in Mark Wahlberg. Why not bring Mark Wahlberg? You know, just put the Italian Job in canon of the Fast and Furious films. Bring in Mark. Bring in Edward Norton. Maybe escapes from the mobster spoilers. Why not? Like, just bring them all in at this point, because that'd be hilarious at some.
I mean, Edward Norton in this movie, which we haven't even talked about his performance. He's awesome because you hate him. You absolutely hate Edward Norton in this movie. Like you hate his mustache. You just hate like how douchey he is. You hate like
harasses Charlize Theron a bit.
Yeah,
like, makes some like sexual like she's like, "Oh, I'm still trying to figure you out," and he's like, "Let's go figure me out in my house or something," right? When they're having dinner. It's like, what?
Well, what's even worse is that she's the cable guy that like he's just randomly hitting on and trying to get to go out on a date with. Like, yeah, he's just kind of a douche. So what?
He's a douchebag, and it's like Edward Norton in real life. He's a bit of a douche. Like, I mean, I don't know if you read this, but he was actually contractually obligated to make this movie and crapped on it, like has crapped on it forever because he was like, I didn't want to make this movie. What the hell? Yeah.
You can tell that he didn't want to make the movie. That's what makes his character so much better is because he did not want to be there.
He did not want to be there. Yeah. He just didn't want to make them. Like, he's notoriously bad to work with.
I mean, that's why he's not Bruce Banner. Like, they couldn't even get him to work in pre-production of the Avengers. In pre-production, he was so bad in pre-production that they wouldn't keep him on.
Right, and then he was a problem to work with in the Incredible Hulk. He kept rewriting the screenplay because he didn't like it, and he's a difficult guy to work with. Like, it's known in Hollywood. Like, this guy's a problem. And every time he makes a movie like this, he was also in the fourth Bourne movie, I think, which I have not seen, but the one with Jeremy Renner, and he's also crapped on that one because I didn't want to be in that movie. It's not my kind of movie. It's like, what a douche. So unlikable, but and speaking of spoilers, that the Dives couldn't control himself. Nah, I'm just kidding. If you want to watch the whole movie in 2 minutes, just go watch the trailer.
Yeah. It's all given up.
This the tonal shift. I mean, there is a tonal shift in the trailer, but it's one of those trailers where they were like, if you want to know what the movie's going to be about, here it is. Like, if you're in, you're in, because it tells you everything, what the heist is, who dies, even though the person dies in the first act, whatever, but they tell you how they die, who kills them. Like, they tell you Charlize Theron joins the group. They tell you everything, right? It's amazing.
Yeah. I didn't know that you can compress 2 hours down into 2 minutes. But I will say one thing about the trailer, like, the tone felt like someone who was editing the trailer did not edit the final movie, or vice versa. Like, it was completely different tone than the end of the movie, where it's just like.
Yeah,
Did you guys ever watch a show called Coming Attractions?
No.
No, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't a thing here. It was an E Entertainment Television, and it was a show. It was half an hour of trailers of a guy like showing you trailers of upcoming movies. So this was pre-YouTube, right? Where the only way to watch a trailer outside of the movie theater was Coming Attractions. And I remember they advertised the Italian Job for months in Coming Attractions. So I watched that trailer a million times, and I this was 2003, right? And I kept thinking they just spoiled the whole thing. I don't know what I'm gonna watch. I've already seen it, and then you watch it, and the movie's so good that you just go with it. It doesn't matter if you know where it's going; like, you just go with it, right?
You know the one thing I think about with the Italian Job, and it was one thing that it does so well, and I go back to like Twister. I love Twister. It literally made me want to become a tornado chaser. Kind of related, like the Italian Job made me want to be like bank heist. Yeah, I wanted to travel Europe. I wanted to ride boats and steal millions of dollars and travel.
Get a mini.
And you know what I mean? Like, just they look like they're having so much fun, and it's so easy, and it's just like a chess match, and it just looked like a blast. Like, it's something like a lot of like the the James Bond movies didn't really do that well during that time. Like, it was just done so lighthearted and just entertaining. And then, like, I remember like just having a blast watching that movie in the theater. Just like, that would be a fun thing to do. Like, I wish I could ride a boat through Venice and not have to lift a gun. And I could do that. I could do that. Why am I going through high school right now?
Only the bad guys.
Like, only the villains have guns or hurt people. They don't hurt anybody. They don't do anything. Like, and also something in like that should be studied by other films is product placement in this movie, because it's so well done that you don't even notice it. Like, it's like, what does Jason Statham want? An Aston Martin Vanquish.
Yeah.
Not just an Aston Martin, the Vanquish, which is an awesome car, also used by James
That's
Bond.
James Bond's car in Casino Royale.
No, the Vanquish wasn't Die Another Day. Casino Royale, he has another one. I don't know the model, but it was designed specifically for the movie. Die Another Day is where he has the Vanquish. But it doesn't matter. The point being, like, not the Vanquish, then Seth Green was a specific kind of speaker. Then I don't know if he says the brand, but he probably says the brand, right? And then the Mini Coopers, which are just a part of the movie. They're a character in it. Like, they have different colors. Like, wouldn't you find it suspicious that 3 minis of different colors go in formation through Hollywood? Like, you'd be like, is this like an ad? Or like, you would turn and look, right? Like, so
I love that they did have back to the Mini Coopers. I love that they had like a Fast and Furious element where there was a mechanic that they went to, and they were like, these need to be able to hold X amount of weight and everything like that. That was actually a cool part of the movie.
A cool guy that shows up also, joins the heist. It could be, what is he? Charlie, what's his name? Charlie Booker? No, Booker, no. Anyway, Roker or something. Anyway, they could have been Roker's 5 or however many people were in this, right? John, I mean, did you want to talk about the sequel? It never materialized. I don't know if you guys know.
No, I didn't even know about it. Like,
well, there was there was severe talk back in 2004, 2005 about the Brazilian Job, which sounds like a probably sexual thing, right? Or probably a bikini wax, right? But, so the Brazilian Job was heavily discussed. The actors many times said they were in. F. Gary Gray, director of this one, was like, I'm in. The screenwriters, I think, were also working on something. Like, it never materialized. Like, and people, they should have done it. They could still do it. Like, these actors are still there. They're still, in their prime, most of them. except for Seth Green, maybe. Like,
Hey, Seth Green made some great video games. Mass Effect.
what do you? Does he do video games now?
Oh yeah, he's in Mass Effect. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
See, Lowe is waiting for the
He
Brazilian.
also did Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck. Did the voice work for Howard.
Oh
He
yeah.
was the voice of Howard the Duck. But yeah, so I mean, he's great. He was great. I don't know what John would.
He was
crap
on
on Seth
Entourage
Green.
a ton, but he was always like the guy that everybody hated in Entourage. I don't know. So he's just annoying. I'm
He's
sorry.
the guy. He's Scott from Austin Powers. Like
Yes.
that's his role.
Yeah, I
That's-
know, but he's just so annoying.
But that's the point,
Yeah.
right? He's supposed to be.
you ever
I
annoying.
mean, I know he is.
Wait? You ever see Can't Hardly Wait? Tell me you've seen Can't Hardly Wait.
No.
All right, that is my homework for both of you guys. We're going to review that next week. I'll be back. It is like you talk about greatest 90s movies. That is one of the best sex comedy 90s movies ever. You'll love it. And Seth Green is in it, and he crushes it. He is hilarious.
Okay.
See?
I trust you. I trust
Just
you.
to
No,
shut
look it
John
up. It's terrific.
I'm gonna watch it. No, I'm gonna watch it, Gabe. Next week we'll do it. But
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
we
Fine.
will
I
do
like
it.
her. I like her.
Yeah,
Okay.
we will-
We do a Jennifer Love Hewitt double feature. Well, I don't know. Next week might be Shang-Chi if John wants to talk about it. But I've been meaning to rewatch The Tuxedo with Jackie Chan. Remember
Oh.
that movie?
Yes, I do. But
Jackie-
we can watch it. We can
Because
watch
Jennifer
it.
Love Hewitt is in it.
Oh.
Anyway, you know where Seth
Anyway.
Green is also in? It, the original It, like
What?
the clown. Yeah, he's one of
Really?
those kids.
No way.
I think that was his first role. Yeah,
All right. Oh.
Anyway,
Seth Green.
Seth Green tangent. Can't hardly wait next week. But
But
we're finally going to talk about something that I want to talk about, though.
Oh,
because
yeah, I was just
we
gonna
have.
say.
Go ahead.
Everybody wants the sequel, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Like everybody would be in
Oh, yeah.
for a sequel. This is
I
not
love
like the
High School.
Rocketeer, where we're like, like
High
Yeah.
school movies are great. If they sell the villain, like they're always fun. They're always a
They
fun
are.
time.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, John. Go ahead. Part.
I'm ready to
3.
talk about this. Yeah. So we're gonna. This is our first time with Dibes talking about Ted Lasso since he finally listened to us. I want the internet to know that he finally listened and he binged all of it. He binged all of it and loved it, and he caught up. So we're gonna talk about season 2, episode 6, where I keep saying this, but this was an amazing episode.
Yeah,
It really did such a good job of setting up the characters. And can we just do a spoiler now for like everything? Like,
I mean, spoilers for this episode, by extension, the whole show, of course.
yeah.
Up to this point, the episode's name is The Signal, episode 6, season 2.
Yeah. I was really excited for this episode because I'm excited every week. But then you started to get into it, and Gabe's really happy because they're finally showing some football, right?
Well, that's my favorite part of this episode. Was like the whole episode was about the football game,
Mhm.
which they don't usually do. And we talked about, like, it's probably hard to do it. It was probably really hard to do with COVID. Of course, they don't fill up the whole stadium. I don't even know what stadium they use for this. Probably in one of the smaller London team stadiums. But yeah, this was about the game. This was about the game. It had, of course, the characters in it, but it was so much about football, and that I really, really appreciated.
Yeah. This has encouraged me to start watching football game. Like,
Yeah,
I,
we
I
need to
think
talk
it's gonna
about
start.
that. We need to talk about that, John. I don't know if you're ready yet.
I'm going to. No. So, you're going to talk about this for first time, Debs, but like, what did you think?
Are we talking about episode 6?
You can
Yeah.
you can say that, yeah, but we can hear your like 2 or 3 minutes of like what you love about Ted Lasso.
I think
Because I want to hear that we were right, basically. So
no, dude, you have been on me for a month about making sure I watch Ted Lasso. We started at like last Monday. We got through the entire first season and half of second season in like 2 or 3 days. Like, it was gone. It is pure cocaine. One of the most addicting shows I have ever seen. One of those shows where like you just can't stop. You have to watch what happens next, what happens next, what happens next. Why is that? Ted Lasso, what's his name? Jason Sudeikis. Probably pronounced that wrong. But he acts his ass off. He portrays this uber positive character on the surface that is someone that you want to root for constantly. You're constantly wanting to root for him in this crazy situation. But going forward, like what the show sells you, beyond like the 2% that it shows you about soccer. I don't like soccer. I hate soccer. I like the fact that there's only like 2% of soccer in this actually is a strength for me. Sorry, Gabe. But the characters, holy crap, the characters in this show are through and through terrific. The development from season 1 into season 2, and especially the way season 2, episode 6 really tied a bow on a lot of these character arcs was really terrific. I think it's not the game, Gabe. Where this episode was at its best was how it just emphasized the darkness and the lightness of Ted Lasso's character having that breakdown, and the owner comes down and helps him or tries to find him, and then Nate has this amazing moment where he finally comes out of his shell, where that just circles back to last week's episode. Where he was kind of nervous because the Roy Kent factor was in the house. The Roy Kent factor was there, and Nate was a little nervous that he was going to get overshadowed once again. Then you had the Jamie, and then you had the Roy Kent back and forth, where eventually, finally, I think Roy Kent kind of accepted him under his wing, which was just an amazing, lighthearted moment, heartwarming moment. So
I think real quick on that, just because I don't want to forget, but you really like Jamie Tart in this episode. He's no longer the bad guy. You get to this episode and you're like, wow, I kind of like him, because even like Roy Kent calls Ted Lasso a prick. He's like, because this fucking prick made him a team player. And like, there's so much unity going on now, which makes the Ted scene so much harder, because everything he worked to build is finally coming together, and he's like falling apart.
But that's what I love about this show, is that like on the surface, it's like a fairy tale story, but if you look deep down, like these characters are really deep. And I don't even know like how many seasons this show could possibly go. But it's really, really fun. And they're layered. Ted Lasso, where's that going to go? What's her name? Dr. Sharon. Like, where would this team be without Dr. Sharon at this point? She is a godsend. So I just love how, like, Ted Lasso is like the guardian angel of Richmond, but he's flawed just like everybody else, just like every character, just like every and as a first-time father, like, and actually, like, I have coaching blood in me. I love how they have that father-son dynamic, and kind of compare it to the coach-player dynamic. There's a lot of that going on. So as someone who's competed in high-level sports my whole life, like that is the sell. That is why I keep coming back every single week, is I love that aspect of, like you said, John, like team unity and bringing everyone together. That's the heart and soul of this show.
Danny Rojas.
Jamie Tart made that shot?
Yeah.
And how many times did he miss that? Hit it off the crossbar, and with Danny Rojas sitting right next to him, and it was Jamie Tart who nailed it from midfield. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, but I mean, I'll make a joke, a comment that is like a joke about the lack of accuracy in this show. It's just, it's I don't mind, like, it's fine, but like, no, like that shot, like, you need to have a really, really shitty keeper for that shot. Like, it's so far that even like it's not particularly hard to make it to the goal. Like, you can make it to the goal. The problem is the keeper can see it so far away. The keeper would see it, right? So it would have to be like, American soccer level football for that to go on. And they're playing against Tottenham, so I doubt that would happen. But it's I mean, it's fine because it's tied up with character development and it makes sense. Also, parking the bus when they tie, like,
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't do it because if you park the bus, it doesn't matter. I just think that the ball will be too close to your goal, and you try to keep the ball away from your goal. And if you're playing you're playing against Tottenham, they're gonna score. Like, anyway. Although Tottenham's not particularly good, but yeah,
you're the only one that knows about this times in our life.
I have no idea. I don't even know what park the bus is.
Park the bus is just having everybody play in the back. Just having it's what do you do when you're winning and just like want to make sure that you get that win. It is a phrase used commonly used, but it's kind of funny that they do it in that context. But so let's talk about Nate. Speaking of parking the bus, because I think I like Nate late, and I love everything that they do with Nate. I love that actor. But I think this season has been a bit scattered on what to do with him, because at first he was becoming a bit unlikable, right? He was being kind of mean to the
new
we settle on
Waterboy.
Waterboy.
Kitman. It's Kitman.
Kitman.
I recently watched through the entire first season again because this show is just rewatchable. So anyway. Yeah, so
Lo
it's
doesn't
Kitman.
like the tuxedo. Lo doesn't like the tuxedo. I didn't see this. I mean, I have good memories, but who knows? Anyway, so yes. What was I saying?
Nate the Kitman.
Oh yeah, Nate. Yeah. Right. So he was mean to the Kitman, and then he had this insecurity problem, which last week we settled on. It's because he's outside of the team. And he's struggling with having the same confidence outside of the team, so that's why he couldn't tell the hostess lady about the table that he needed, right? And then this episode, let's try to piece it together. He was like, he had a moment, a revelation of this is what we're gonna do strategy wise, and he just had everybody do it. And then Ted was gone. And then it was only the people that know about football remained, right? Because Ted doesn't know anything. Soccer, meaning soccer, right? We say football here, Dives. Deal with it. I mean, it feels like it's going like kind of back and forth on where his journey throughout the season is going. Do you guys feel the same way?
Yeah, and I do worry about that because I think he could go somewhere. Like I told Gabe, it would really hurt if like Nate went somewhere else at the end of this season. Like if
wow, I like that.
So I'm worried that they're setting us up for something like that, to be honest.
I think you're right on that, John. That makes a lot of sense. You look at all the kind of the coaches under Ted's wing, like Roy. Maybe it could be vice versa. Maybe it's Roy who goes to a different program. He finds that coaching is his calling, and you have that dynamic there. That could be that's definitely like a season 3, season 4
type thing.
I like Nate. I can't like you're right. Like it's only 10 episodes, 30 minutes each a season. I can't give that much criticism to Nate's character considering how well this show has weaved character development in and out of what it's been given. So I'm not negative Nate. I'm not a negative Nate person. I actually enjoy the fact that he got his moment, at the end of episode 5, and it, you saw the impact there in episode 6. Maybe that's just the ball is just starting to get rolling for Nate's character. I don't know. Like it's not a detriment.
I think because what you just hit on was that there's only 10 episodes, so 3 hours each. They have to give you little plot points here and there. And something that we've seen through that is Beard and Jane together, right? So, like, we saw them at, like, one episode in season 1 together, and then they broke up or something, and then they got back together again. And you, like, with, like, these 2-minute scenes, they're able to build this like relationship story of this like really unhealthy relationship of two people.
Which has happened to all of us. Like when you have a friend in a bad relationship, we've all been in Higgins' position, right? Like you see your friend having a bad relationship, but it's just like, how do I tell them, right? How do I approach this topic without getting them angry at me? And I've had friends stop talking to me because I told them like, your boyfriend's an idiot, And but somebody's got to do it, and I was happy that Higgins did it, and
The response
Beard,
from that was amazing from Beard.
yeah, a little hug, right?
Yeah.
Pretty.
It was
one
like,
of those hugs
I
that
hear.
go
He
on for
said,
too
"I
long.
hear you and I understand," and then he gives him a hug and then walks away. Yeah.
There's
But he
something so
goes with her.
relatable about Beard's character. I don't know what it is, but like that is a pretty stereotypical like assistant coach kind of character. I don't know. That might be wrong to say, but like I've seen that kind of like personality so many times, and that's just nailed, 100% nailed. Where they're a man of few words. They're very firm and stern, and but that's I don't know why. There's something relatable about Beard.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
like Beard.
definitely. So what about let's talk about just Rebecca, because I want to talk about her journey with her mom and what she goes through this episode, and then we'll talk about the Sam twist. But first, Rebecca as a character, John, you have some thoughts on that, right?
Yeah, so like Rebecca as a character, she's the same as her mom, where Rebecca stayed with this guy who kept cheating on her, who kept like basically just like placating her every time she would go to leave. And he would be like, "You're not going to leave me because you'll be so alone." And that's literally what keeps happening to her mom. So you kind of see like what happened to her mom. She repeated it for a very long time, but was able to break out of that cycle. And she kind of wanted that for her mom, but her mom just can't, I guess. So I thought,
Yeah,
that was
it's just she's still in the cycle, and she ends up going back in the cycle, and yeah, it's an interesting one. Everything with Rebecca is great. That actress is so good. And I think your analysis is spot on. I didn't even think about it while watching it, but you're absolutely right. It is what it is. So Rebecca and Sam.
yeah, I was not expecting that at all. I didn't expect it to be Ted. I knew it wouldn't be Ted, but I definitely did not expect Sam. But they alluded to it during one episode, like sort of.
They did. I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun.
When?
So he comes in to ask her to remove the curse from the locker room, and she's like, "Oh, will you come out to dinner with us tonight?" or something like that. And she's like, "Oh no, Sam, like I'm not into you in that way." And he's like, "Oh no, but you are a beautiful woman." Like anyway. So
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't want this to get uncomfortable, and I mean I don't think it will, but better Sam than Ted. Ted would have been like he's too
Yeah, not
pure
good.
and like he shouldn't be dating anybody. Um, well, then any other thoughts? I think it's time to close it out. We're at 50 something.
yeah, no, the signal was great, and it was perfect episode. And I'm glad that Dibes finally watched it so that we were able to talk about it tonight.
I told him this was the Christopher Diebler show. He didn't listen.
No, it's terrific.
Um,
It is terrific. I love the positivity, like the believe sign at the top of the coach's office. Like, there's not a lot of TV out there these days that breathes so much glass half full, like positivity. Ted's speech there at the end of season 1, where he's like, "This one sucks, but like you're together, like being together. There's something worse than losing and being alone. Like you don't want to do that. You're together. You're a family. Like there's so much heart warmth and something so lovable about this show that, to its credit, like there's no question that I'll be probably rewatching every episode again."
well, John's the king of that.
Yeah, I've watched it too many times.
of
I fly back and
watching.
forth. Yeah, because I fly back and forth a lot, so it's like the perfect show. You can finish the entire season in one flight.
Right.
So I'm like,
Right. As proven time and time again. All right. Well, so last week Hollywood listened to us about the Rocketeer. They didn't hear the last part when we said it's okay, just let it be. We don't want a sequel. But here we'll just say in the end, make a sequel to The Italian Job, because that is just like money right there that nobody's using. Right? They keep making like. Did you see? I mean, not to go on a Cinespection like tangent, but they're making a dramatic reboot of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
yes,
No.
Yes, you didn't know that?
drama.
Yeah, 100%. It's a
drama.
drama. Yeah, 100%. It's going live. They finally found the actor or something like that.
This is like that's worse than like the Train to Busan remake. Like, come on, guys! Like, what are we doing here? Please just stop. Just stop.
I know there's a level of like reboots and remakes that just gets annoying. Some work, most don't. Look, I mean, maybe Candyman doesn't. Some people say it does. And our friends are divided, right? I think Ryan and Amanda didn't like it, but Leo and Lo did. So people are divided on it, which is normal for any movie. But it just and it just makes you think: do I need to remake this now? I don't. The Rocketeer, just let it be. It's just like it happened, it came and went. Let's just move on. Or maybe it's great, and I'll be like, oh, what an idiot I was, and then just play this clip back to me.
Highly
If anybody cares. Okay, well, this is Cinespection.
Like and subscribe.
Where are people? But why get
and subscribe?
Oh yeah, like and subscribe. What? But I get why people are mad. Oh, the faux trailer was amazing. What faux trailer?
I don't know. Was there a faux trailer?
I think it's about the Candyman trailer.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I think it's about the Candyman. Yeah, like and subscribe. Wherever you're watching this, like and subscribe. And 1 second, because my battery's running out.
I'm not okay with this Bel Air show. I am like,
you didn't know about it?
No, I don't. I'm like when it comes to like news and trailers, like I'm like the last person to hear about these things.
Okay, the show is called The Fresh Prince. Like, how can something serious be called The Fresh Prince of anything?
I can't.
What's a Fresh Prince? I don't even. What does that mean? I don't know what does that mean. Yeah, I mean, Lo. Yeah, I haven't seen the trailer, but anyway. Like and subscribe again. And next week, I guess we'll talk about Seth Green and Jennifer Love Hewitt. But anything else I need to say? Well, that's John. Find him at Joe Firth. That's Dives. Find him at Mr. Crockpot. And Will Smith was blown away by the full trailer. Seriously, I'll send you guys the link.
Cool.
Yeah, I remember that now. I don't trust Will Smith because he was blown away by Wild Wild West and 7 pounds. And what's the name of that movie about the squids where he kills himself with squids? That movie, is that 7 pounds? I think that's 7 pounds.
You got 7 pounds.
Yeah, he kills himself in a bathtub filled of squid, not squids or something like that, right? Dives.
Something
or eels or something. I don't even know. Tell us in the comments. All right. I'll see you next week.